You're listening to Ask Dr. Jake. My name is Dr. Jake Tucker, and I'm coming to you from Good Life Family Chiropractic, where I am the founder and owner of Good Life Family Chiropractic here at the corner of 56th and Pine Lake. And today we're coming to you with another message of hope, health, and wholeness. And I wanted to focus in on nutrition. And I get this all the time. Dr. Jake, it's too expensive to eat healthy. And my response to that is no. It's too expensive to get cancer. It's too expensive to get heart disease. It's too expensive to get diabetes. The number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America right now is healthcare costs. Over 2/3 of cases of bankruptcy happen because you did not invest in your health on the front side. Being proactive is always better than being reactive. We know that, but our country's perspective on health is that we are reactive. Remember, Paul says in Romans 12:2, do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you can test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And so I wanted to talk to you today about some of the principles of nutrition and just why I recommend the things that I recommend. And the first thing that you have to recognize when it comes to health and it comes to nutrition is that your body's designed to heal. You replace yourself at a cellular level every 15 years, and your stomach lining, your intestinal lining, they replace themselves every 3 to 5 days. And so you're constantly needing new nutrients, but this is organized and controlled by the central nervous system. So there's two things that we need to be looking at when it comes to your nutrition. What are we doing to build up the central nervous system and create an ideal environment to make it healthy? But also, what are the backbone, the building blocks of all these cells and tissues and organs that we need to be supplying in order to replace it at a healthy level? And so if this is an approach that you have not had yet, reach out to my office. You'll have to leave a message this morning, but you can also text us, and I'm monitoring this on my phone. But you can call or text at 531-289-7100. Same thing, send a text, 531-289-7100, and I will answer those questions as I get them. And sometimes it'll be private, sometimes I'll see that a question needs to be addressed publicly because a lot of people are asking it. But let me tell you, if you have questions about how to heal the gut, you're not going to want to miss our workshop this Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. I'm going to hold 5 tickets for the first 5 callers at no charge to you. Come on in, enjoy an evening of health and wellness and life and vitality. No masks necessary. You can come in. We are a private office. You're coming by invitation only. And yeah, absolutely. If you feel like you need to wear a mask, we're not judging anyone. This is a judgment-free zone. Everything that you've ever done, that's water under the bridge. Our Savior has washed that away. If you've claimed the forgiveness from him, if your health is in a bad state, God forgives you for the choices that you've made that led you there. I forgive you for those as well. You've done nothing to hurt me. What we need to do today is we need to start addressing the cause of those health problems. And so it starts, number one, we have to focus on getting healthy fats back into our diet. So in the 1960s and 1950s, fats were vilified as a whole. The whole category, the macronutrient fat, was vilified as a cause of heart disease. And while they weren't completely off base, some of the best or worst myths, truths that we've ever been exposed to have come with a lie attached to them. And that's that fat is categorically bad for you. Fat is an absolutely necessary, essential macronutrient that you need for your central nervous system and for every single cell in your body. The cell lining, the cell membrane, the brain itself is over 50% fat. And if you're not getting healthy fats and fatty acids, especially the essential fatty acids like omega-3s and omega-6s and omega-9s, then your brain is going to break down. And this is one of the causes of Alzheimer's and dementia and a lot of the elderly diseases that we're dealing with neurologically. And so start with the healthy fats. And what are those healthy fats? Those are the naturally occurring fats, the fats that we find in the foods that God designed for us to eat. So things like coconut, avocados, things like eggs are a great source of fat. Olive oils are a fantastic sort of fat. Chia seeds, nuts and seeds have great sources of fats in there, as well as a source of protein as well. And so we start to replace some of the denatured forms of fat, things like vegetable oils, where it requires a high level of extraction to even get to that oil in the first place, let alone bottle it and expose it to heat and light and things that denature the fats and create inflammation just in the processing of that food. So first, if you haven't fixed your fats, start moving to a more natural source. Second, we need to curb the carbs. As a country, we categorically consume way too many carbohydrates. Now, some carbohydrates are good for you and come attached with essential micronutrients. These carbs are called vegetables, and we don't get enough vegetables. The average male in the United States consumes less than a single serving of vegetables on a daily basis. If you want to replace a supplement, a multivitamin with diet, start by adding green leafy vegetables. One of the richest sources of micronutrients that I find are our green leafy vegetables. Think spinach, think kale. If you add these things in, you're going to get more nutrients. But the average American also consumes about 260 pounds of sweeteners every single year. And whether these are artificial or real, they do the same thing. They create an insulin response due to high blood sugar or just a perception of high blood sugar in the body, whether it's artificial or actual sugar, that starts to wear out the insulin receptors in the cells and creates a state of diabetes, type 2 diabetes to be exact. If you have type 2 diabetes, just know that you gave it to yourself by the lifestyle that you're living and the interferences that you've created in your health. You can work this backwards. There is hope for you. We do this every single day, but you have to be proactive with it. You have to be disciplined with it. And you just have to have some guidance in most cases, because this is not information that your medical doctor is even trained to give you. So if you want help with getting your sugar under control, call my office, 531-289-7100. Leave a message for us. We will be returning your message later today. You can also send us a text at that same number, 531-289-7100, and I will answer that as I can so that we can get you the best information that you need, and we can set up a consult so that we can walk you through some of these things. Number 3, if you're writing these down, number 1 was we need to fix our fats, get to more natural sources of fats. Number 2, we need to be curbing our carbs. And number 3, we need to perfect our proteins. We have a meat love affair in this country right now. And it's really not a good thing, because right now, when we look at meats, we are looking at one of the most inflammatory sources of protein available on the planet. The World Health Organization has ranked meats just as high as cigarettes as far as its carcinogenic effects. It's in the same class. If you want to avoid cancer, get rid of processed meats, especially. Red meats are also in the same category, but it comes down to 2 major things: the way that we feed them and the inflammation in their bodies, creating inflammation in our bodies. Inflammation is the root cause of just about every single chronic disease that Americans are dealing with. 85% or more of the diseases that we die from are due to the inflammation in our body. And there is no faster way to add inflammation to your body than to eat conventionally raised animal products. And the carb load that we have, between the amount of sugars and carbs that we have and the amount of processed meats and denatured meats because of a poor living or eating environment, we are just setting ourselves up for cancer and heart disease and Alzheimer's and dementia and all these diseases that affect us so much and cost us so much money. And so we have to address that as well. So what should we be looking for? If you're going to consume animal products of any kind, that's yogurt, that's meat, that's any dairy product, that's eggs, we need to be looking for animals that were raised in a natural habitat or natural environment. That's free range, that's grass fed, that's cage free to a limited extent, isn't even as good as it's cost out and priced out to be. But what we need to be looking for are those foods that are raised in their natural environments. We see from a cellular level that these foods have healthier cells. And when you eat foods that are made up of good, healthy cells, that in turn becomes healthy cells in you as your body breaks them down and creates a new you from the inside out. And then the last thing that we're looking at, so number 1, we're going to be fixing our fats. Number 2, we're going to be curbing our carbs. Number 3, perfecting your proteins. And number 4 is we're going to trash the toxins. So toxins refer to those things that our body knows as poisons. You can look at something like the heavy metals, lead and mercury and aluminum. We want to avoid those things. Things like cadmium, things that are present in a lot of the pesticides that we spray on our foods. Heavy metals are one of the most toxic things you can be exposed to. You can also look at the pesticides themselves, some of the ways that our foods are genetically modified to handle more pesticides. Pesticides, are known and classified by the World Health Organization, again, as probable carcinogens. Something like Roundup, the herbicide Roundup, the weed killer. It's classified as a probable carcinogen, and the Bayer, Monsanto, has lost billions of dollars in lawsuits just in the last 2 years because it's been linked to stomach cancers and been proven in a court of law that these specific individuals are getting stomach cancer from their exposure to something as benign that we have on our shelves for spraying around our kids as Roundup. So we need to be looking out for these things. This is why I encourage everyone, when you go to the grocery store, to take with you a list of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen is a list that's put out every single year, brand new, by the Environmental Working Group, and they classify the foods that are sprayed with the most pesticides and with the most toxic pesticides. And so those foods are probably your favorite produce foods, things like strawberries, things like apples, things like spinach, things like tomatoes end up on this list every single year. And there's 12 of these. The foods that end up on the Clean 15, the ones that have the least amount of pesticides, these are the things that are either protected by their husk or their shell from the pesticides, or they just aren't sprayed as much. Things like sweet corn is not on that list. Things like avocados, it's not on that list because they're protected on the outside by their own protective shell. And so those are the 4 things that we look at. And every day, take notes on what I'm talking to you about. I don't expect you to remember everything, but if you apply something new every single day, you're going to be actively building your health. And that's what we want, is active building, active transformation of your mindset when it comes to health. And as we do that, you will start to achieve health and life and vitality and be able to achieve the things that God has planned for you. His plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. You remember, Jesus came that you may have life and have it to the full. And that starts with giving you your health. That starts with having life, having optimal function across every component. Spiritual, of course, it starts there, but mental, emotional, and physical as well. We need health if we're going to achieve the things that God has for us. If you need help on this journey, call my office, 531-289-7100. Ask for a consultation. We'll set you up. We'll set up an appointment time for you to come in and see us. Tune in every single day at 7 a.m. for more Ask Dr. Jake.